If you want to change your life, you've got to change your life. That sounds like a play on words, doesn't it? It may be, but it does make you think. I had to read it a couple of times when I first saw it. Hello, this is Bob Proctor. For the past 35 years, I've been helping people change their lives. Some of the changes that I have witnessed have been extraordinary. Changing our lives can be fun, and I have found it's not very difficult when you know how. It can also be very rewarding. I suppose knowing how is the key. Before I proceed with the knowing how part, let me ask you the big question. What would you change if your annual income suddenly became your monthly income? Think about that question for a moment. Mentally observe the type of thinking you immediately got involved in as a result of that question, because it could have run anywhere from immediate rejection to a very positive mental response. The type of thinking the question provoked is important because it very likely is your conditioned mind that is responding. Did you immediately think, that's ridiculous, it could never happen, or, wow, that would really be great? Whatever your response was, leave it for now, and we'll come back to the big question a little later. What you're about to hear is not something I learned in an Ivy League school, nor is it some strange occult secret. No, what I am about to share with you is the result of 40 years of intense research and practical experience. What I'm going to suggest you do, I have done, and I am presently doing. Permit me to begin by saying, being happy, healthy, and wealthy is a normal state of life for you and me and everyone else who wants it and whose mind is open to a few simple suggestions. You might be asking yourself, if it's so simple, why are there so few people enjoying the good life? That's a fair question, and I believe it was answered many years ago in the book Man's Search for Himself, authored by Rollo May, a distinguished psychiatrist. He said the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity. People acting like everyone else, without knowing why, without knowing where they are going. It takes courage to begin living the good life. You have to step away from the masses. You must begin to express your uniqueness as a human being and begin to utilize your God-given potential. Consider this for a moment. We are living right in the midst of the golden years, a time we've been working toward for thousands of years, the richest time in all of human history. There are only two sources to which we can refer to find out about our potential: science and theology. Both of these areas clearly indicate that we do have infinite potential. The wisest among us will not even guess at what you and I are capable of accomplishing. And yet, after living for 50 or 60 years, 90% of the population have not made it financially. Now, you might be thinking, money's not everything. It definitely is not the most important thing in life, and you're right. However, money affects every area of our lives that we choose to think is important. If we were to take 100 people who all start even at age 25, then look at what happens to the members of this group who reach the age of 65. 1 will be rich. 4 will be financially independent. 5 will still be working. 54 will be broke. As shocking as these statistics are, the actuarial department of any major financial institution will confirm their accuracy. Why? What happened to these people? Why did so few make it? What became of their dreams, their hopes, their plans? And why is there such a large disparity between what these people intended to do with their lives and what they actually accomplished? What held them back? Listen carefully. I'm going to give you the answer. They conformed. That's it. They conformed. They fell in line and followed the large group. They followed the wrong group. It seems incredible that people in such large numbers could be wrong, but they are and always have been. 90-some% of our population are controlled by old paradigms, old conditioning. They don't think. My old boss, Earl Nightingale, used to say, if the average person said what they were thinking, they would be speechless. He was right. Listen to the conversations of most people or watch their behavior. They are obviously not thinking. Most people are the product of someone else's habitual way of thinking. I was very fortunate many years ago when I met a man named Raymond Stanford. He encouraged me to dream and then began thinking of how I could live my dreams. He told me to stop letting present results control my thinking. He said, "You have the equation backwards, Bob. You must start to control your thinking and then have your thinking control your results, rather than your results control your thinking." At the time I met him, I was spending my days doing work I did not enjoy. I was most certainly struggling financially. I was earning $4,000 a year, and I owed $6,000. I was far from being happy. This man gave me a book to read and advised me to do exactly what the author suggested. Without going into detail, my world began to change and changed dramatically. It has never stopped. 1 year after I met him and began following his advice, I was earning $175,000, and then I took it over $1 million a year. I gave the same book to a number of people, but their lives never changed. I soon realized it was not the book. But what was it? Why had my world changed so dramatically? I had to know, and I began to study. It took me 9 years, but I finally found what I was looking for. Seek and you will find is good advice. I actually discovered what caused my income to soar and my life to change. Although the change was easily overlooked, it was huge. I had changed my income earning strategy. What worked for me will work for you. What I'm going to suggest will work for anyone. I watched literally thousands of individuals make very positive changes in their lifestyle as they began to follow the strategy you are about to learn. As my income changed, I found I had more time to do what was important, what was really important in my life. You will be amazed at how much free time you have when you never have to think about money. This brings me to a point where I'm going to ask you to mentally step back and objectively look at money and honestly think about the areas of your life where money does play a role. The truth is, there are very few areas where money does not play a role. Now let me come back to the big question. What would you change if your annual income suddenly became your monthly income? Let your imagination fly. Permit it to soar. Dream. What would you do that's totally different from what you're presently doing? Imagine going on a vacation with a loved one, first class, all the way. Dream. Rather than reject what you're hearing as being ridiculous, stop and think. You very likely know people who are earning that amount of money, who are not as bright as you are, and I can assure you they are not lucky. Luck does not play a role in what I am talking about, regardless of how much it may appear that it does. Earning money is a subject that is misunderstood by 9 people out of 10. And I honestly think I'm being conservative in those numbers. It's probably more like 1 in 20. And as you begin to study earning money as a subject, it will become obvious why it is so misunderstood by the masses. You can go right through our educational system and learn absolutely nothing about earning money. You can, in fact, graduate from one of the most prestigious universities in the world and know next to nothing about earning money. This, along with the fact that very few parents understand money, explains why there is such widespread ignorance on such an important subject. Earning money has nothing to do with age, gender, geography, formal education, intelligence, or past experience, or a host of other reasons we were raised to believe were a prerequisite to earning a lot of money. Earning money has to do with one thing: decision. You merely decide, I am going to learn how to earn money, and then being specific about knowing how much you're going to earn. You would follow exactly the same procedure as you would if you were to decide, I'm going to learn to fly an airplane. If you were deciding to become a pilot, you most certainly wouldn't be getting your instructions from one of your colleagues at work or your next-door neighbor. That is, unless they were excellent flight instructors. Approximately 96% of all the money that is earned by 1% of our population. And 99% of that group are all following exactly the same strategy. I can assure you they are not getting their advice from everyone and anyone who happens to be in their presence. You will find people who are absolutely brilliant who are broke, and others who are functionally illiterate who may be earning millions of dollars a year. At this point, it should be obvious that you're not going to learn how to multiply your income by doing what comes naturally, by doing what you've been doing in the past, or by following the example that is being offered by 96% of our population. Any kind of change causes discomfort. And if you want to change your annual income into a monthly income, that too will cause some discomfort. But keep this in mind. The discomfort you experience will be very temporary. The increased prosperity will be permanent. Isn't that nice? We're at the point now where I'm going to ask you to really tune in to what I'm explaining. There are only 3 strategies to earning money. I refer to them as M1, M2, M3. Now, M1 is the worst strategy in the world, and unfortunately, it's adhered to by 96% of our population. Old paradigms keep people locked in to this losing way of living. They are good people, but they never enjoy the good life. We are all taught to follow the M1 income earning strategy at school, at home, and we're surrounded by people who follow this strategy. M1 is where people trade their time for money. This strategy has an inherent problem. It's called saturation. You run out of time. It's almost inconceivable to think that so many people are on the wrong track. Some of them brilliant people. However, their brilliance has not stopped them from being controlled by their old paradigm. You might be wondering, who are these people? Virtually everyone you know. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, airline pilots, engineers, architects, waiters, waitresses. In fact, in today's world, doctors have to put in more time to earn less money. It's sad but true. The only way a person can accumulate money following this strategy is by compromising on virtually everything they do where money is concerned. They compromise on the car or the house they buy, the vacations they take, the clothes they buy. In fact, if you stand in either a men's or a woman's clothing store and observe what's going on, almost everyone looks at the price tag before they inspect the garment. They don't get what they want. They pick what they think they can afford. Little do they realize, if they made a decision, they could buy the whole store. Someone did. They're in it. Most of the people who follow this strategy can honestly not see a solution to many of the problems they experience where money is concerned. However, there is an answer, and I'm going to give it to you. And all you will require is the courage to break out of your old paradigm. Let's move on and take a look at M2. This is a great strategy. However, it's only followed by a very small group of people, 3% of our population. M2 is where people invest money to earn money. It's fairly obvious why just 3% of our population follow this strategy. Most people have no money to invest. Those who do follow this strategy, who are not well educated in the area and do not get good advice, frequently lose their money. For a person to become proficient with the M2 strategy, they must study it continually. Since many people who have money to invest do not choose to spend their time studying this subject, they frequently rely on the advice of experts in this field. Financial advisors should be picked with considerable care. This brings us to the strategy I stumbled on many years ago, M3. And although it is only used by 1% of our population, they earn approximately 96% of all the money that's earned. This strategy can be followed by anyone. That's the beautiful part about it. All it requires is a decision. A decision I would strongly recommend you make right now. There's one other prerequisite that goes with decision, and it is courage. You are definitely going against the crowd. You must quit worrying about what they think and focus on what you think. M3 is where you multiply your time through the efforts of others by setting up multiple sources of income. This is one of the most beautiful concepts that you will ever come across with respect to earning money. It is frequently referred to as leverage. Multiple sources of income are referred to as MSIs, and you can have as many MSIs as you choose. This is also referred to as mailbox money. With MSIs, you can be earning money right around the clock, regardless of what you're doing. You could be sleeping in Australia and earning money in America, or vice versa. This is a strategy that has been used by wealthy people dating right back to the ancient Babylonians. The individuals who follow the M3 strategy are actually aware that working is the worst way to earn money. The masses have been raised and conditioned to believe that you should go to work to earn money. If you never remember anything else, remember this. You should go to work for satisfaction. You should provide service to earn money. Here is what Napoleon Hill had to say about this. If you are one of those people who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought. It is not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, are never the result of hard work. Riches come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. Here's another interesting bit of information from the same author. The accumulation of great fortunes calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the person who accumulates the fortune. Isn't that interesting? Think about what you've just heard. Now I believe it's time for me to ask you that big question again. What would you change if your annual income suddenly became your monthly income? Pay attention again to your mental response to that question. I'll bet it's becoming easier to accept. Your mind has been inundated with some beautiful truths over the past few moments, and when that happens, your mind becomes more receptive to positive questions. You are quite capable of turning your annual income into a monthly income. I have done it, and I have thousands of friends who have done it. Now, that's not an exaggeration. There are literally thousands. I would go so far as to say that wherever you happen to be in the world right now as you're listening to this, I have probably been there and worked with people showing them how to do what I'm sharing with you right now. Step out of your old conditioned way of living. Life is short and should be enjoyed by you. The M3 strategy is something I stumbled on many years ago. In the old economy, if you were going to follow the M3 strategy, you had to have an incredible idea and a respectable amount of money. That is not so in the new economy, and we're living in the new economy. The rules that you were raised with no longer apply. As children, we were taught, go to school, get a good education, get a job in a big company, and be loyal regardless, and you're going to have security. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people in every part of the world walking the streets today, many of them in a state of shock because they believed that advice and they followed it only to find themselves walking the street with a resume in hand looking for a job. Their 10, 15, 25 years of dedicated service was rewarded with a small severance package and a dismissal slip. When a person believes there's security in a job and they lose their job, they feel like they've lost everything. They're totally demoralized. Security is an inside thing. If you haven't got it there, you haven't got it. I've dedicated the past 35 years of my life helping people to develop an understanding of who they are, and what they're capable of doing. My company has been hired by some of the largest companies in the world. We know what we're doing, and I can assure you, regardless of your present situation, you are capable of turning your annual income into a monthly income and living the life you may possibly only have dreamed about to this point through network marketing. Network marketing is the distribution system that's ushering in the new economy. The compensation plan that most network marketing companies have is the most moral form of compensation that has ever been devised, and it is based on the M3 strategy. Although millions of professionals today, myself included, have embraced network marketing and strongly promote it, there are millions of others who do not understand it. It's strange but true that anything the human does not understand, they have a tendency to criticize or ridicule. And we do not understand anything until we can explain it to another person so that they understand it. What image comes to your mind when you hear the term network marketing? Think about it for a moment. Now let me ask you to think of something else. Think of President John F. Kennedy. What image comes to the screen of your mind? You very likely have an image of a man in his late 40s, a full head of dark hair, possibly holding the hand of a little boy. Please understand that image is over 40 years old, and the little boy whose hand he is holding has grown up and passed on. If President Kennedy were alive today, he'd be an elderly gentleman in his 80s, and if he had any hair, it would most certainly be gray. Frequently, when a person hears the term network marketing, a 40-year-old image comes to their mind, and they see someone sitting in their kitchen trying to sell their brother-in-law into the idea of selling soap. The truth is, this industry has grown up. It is one of the most sophisticated industries in the world, and certainly one of the most lucrative. The computer systems that these companies employ are the envy of most other industries. The successful companies are debt-free, and the people who do the work are the ones who get the money. There is no nepotism, no favoritism, and no waste. There are numerous individuals who are working 15 and 20 hours a week from home and earning more money than they've ever previously dreamed of. They have the time and the money to do the things they've always wanted to do. As I've already mentioned, I have spent 35 years developing my reputation in my industry. You can go to my webpage, www.bobproctor.com, and you will see that I carry the endorsements of many fine people. I willingly and enthusiastically put my reputation on the line to endorse and support the person who is giving you this message. And now, let me ask you that big question one more time. What would you change if your annual income suddenly became your monthly income? I can assure you, if you will open your mind and override your old paradigm, you are quite capable of making those changes. I believe I've made it clear that school has not taught us how to earn money. Another major weakness of all educational systems is that they neither teach nor encourage the habit of definite decision, which is precisely why there's so many people wandering around asking anyone who will listen, "What do you think I should do?" Napoleon Hill wrote an entire chapter on decision in his book, Think and Grow Rich. In that chapter, he said, "Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want, and they generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That is the major reason why they're leaders. The world has the habit of making room for the man or woman whose words and actions show that they know where they're going." Let me suggest that you do yourself an enormous favor. The second this message ends, don't even look sideways. Don't ask anyone what they think you should do. Pick up the phone and call the person who gave you this message and say, "I would like you to explain to me what I have to do to turn my annual income into a monthly income." And if they don't have the experience to explain exactly what to do, I can assure you, they know someone who can, and they will be quick to introduce you to that person. Pick up the phone right now and call the person who gave you this message. If you want to change your life, you've got to change your life. Call them right now. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you.